Howdy. Welcome to this special, somewhat annual Thanksgiving edition of the Insider edition of the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden, glad to be with you. And we're simulcasting this one. It's available on video as well as audio, so check your usual sources, and especially at findbirdhuntingspots.com. If you're listening and you want to watch, that's a good place to start. Just came off a wonderful hunt. I know it sounds strange, but we didn't even see a feather, let alone any birds. But it was a great hunt for a bunch of reasons. The first is beautiful weather. Dogs got along. Maybe you know that. And we saw some country that at least needed to be visited at least once this season. So thanks, Tom. And then, by the way, I'm also thankful for your wedding tomorrow. So good luck and best wishes to the both of you. I ask almost every year what you're thankful for, and I'm going to share a lot of your thoughts in that area as well. Mainly fresh thoughts, my own thoughts, but then some stuff from way back because it was so memorable to me. So if you've responded in the last few years to maybe a request for what you're thankful for, I appreciate that. And we will cover many of your comments in the next few minutes on this Insider edition. Of course, it's made possible by Cable Gangs Stakeout Systems, Heartland Lodge, Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, Trulock Choke Tubes, Purina Pro Plan Sport Dog Food, Sage and Breaker Gun Care Products, Roughland Dog Kennels, Pointer Shotguns, and High Vis Sights. All right. So if you, like me, walk around out there all day and ponder the state of the world, or maybe the state of your own existence, or you've got another reason or two, you're inspired in one way or another to thank somebody for something, here is a chance to maybe reflect on that, maybe think about some of the other things that haven't been crossing your mind lately that are definitely worth being grateful for. That's our Thanksgiving edition. That's our theme today. Little exercise, but a lot of reflection. Hope you don't mind. All right. First on the list, and these are in no particular order, for me at least, friends. I mentioned one earlier. Tom has become a good friend, became a neighbor. Now he's not a neighbor, but he's still a good hunting buddy. And we're able to get together several times a year and hunt together. And it's always been a fun time. And I've many other friends. In fact, at this point in time in the calendar, I realized every single bird hunt I've been on has been along with someone else, or more than one someone else. I love hunting alone, and I'll be making up for lost time in that department. But in the meanwhile, every single one of my hunting partners has been a real gift. So kind of a pre-Christmas thing, now that I think about it. You have the same? I'm sure you did, at least once or twice, maybe all the time. One of the many reasons we go, one of the top reasons in the many reasons we go is fellowship, friends, family, that sort of thing. We'll get to some of those other high priority reasons we hunt as we get thankful deeper and deeper into the list. Let's see. I've been going, my best guess, I think I've been bird hunting for 33, 34 years, something like that. And in that time, you develop a few habits, you develop a few favorite places. And you probably have one or two. Sometimes it's just a draw that you like, or that field over there, that wildlife area that kind of works for you in one way or another every time, or most times you go. That's also true. I have plenty of those. I'm not going to tell you all of them, but I've spoken of those over the years. But there is a small town that I went to. In fact, the very first chucker hunt I ever went on was right near this small town. I've become kind of a regular there. Um, Watched that town for 3 decades change in some ways. Several owners. I know owning a town, but it's that small. Owners, operators, neighbors, all of the things that are part of that cowboy country milieu that still exists out here, particularly in the Great Basin. Well, it's still good. It's always been. And I want to thank everybody in that town. And you know who you are. Tiffany, Jade, Thaddeus, Jake, Selena, you're all part of my life, and I appreciate it. You've made me welcome for a long, long time. And I'll be seeing you, actually, for the holiday this year. Thank you for inviting me. I'm grateful for all the things that people like that have done for us over the years. And maybe you listeners and viewers have, a special place like that where you feel part of the family. I asked a while back. In fact, it's funny. I asked on the Day of the Dead last year for pictures of dead birds, and I never do that. But I thank you for all of those because it really made me realize that there are artful, tasteful ways to display a shot game bird, and so thank you for raising the bar in that regard, and with everything you do when it comes to providing photo images here in the Upland Nation community, environment, whatever. Appreciate that. Let's all take it up a notch in that regard. This time of year, all times of year now, I'm practicing the same thing that Jeff Bezos is practicing. We call it a slow morning. I spend the first hour of my day watching it go from dark to light with Flick next to me, drinking way too much coffee. The best part about that, of course, is the dog next to me before everybody else gets up. And maybe you have a ritual like that. I'm glad I adopted that one a long while ago. I won't dwell on my personal habits, but that's one that seems to really get the day off to a great start. And just a little bit more bonding with a dog that works so hard for us. Go ahead and steal that idea if you want. I'm thankful for Aldo Leopold. And if you don't know who he is, author, biologist, legendary in the conservation community, he really hit the nail on the head with something. And I was reminded of this not a week ago when I was actually invited to hunt on some private ground. And maybe you don't do that. Maybe you do periodically, but you got to remember one thing about all of this, and especially in light of the recent government shutdown, when a lot of public services and public access to a small degree were restricted. Leopold said something like, the future of conservation and wildlife in this country is basically up to private landowners. Yeah, not massive, faceless government agencies, but private landowners. And here's one of the main reasons. That's where the money is. Only a profit motive is going to get somebody to improve their ground enough to make it huntable. Same goes for angling, and I had that revelation a long time ago. But just in the last 5 or 10 years, I've seen the same thing play out time and time again. So if you get a chance to hunt private ground, don't forget to thank the owner, treat that ground with respect, and be grateful. There you go. Be thankful you were able to do it, and they were willing to provide it. Okay. Here's one from way back. Grant Goebel, thanks for your support over the years. We shared this once offline, if you want to call it that. And since then, it's really come in handy. Every time I start a hunt, I go to my lower left pocket where there's a D-ring with a carabiner on it, and all the collar tags from my dogs who are no longer here. It's a great way to be grateful for their help, and not just hunting help, their support in taking us further down the path of hunting and conservation, and maybe some of the other things that you're all going to talk about as we get deeper into this. So stand by as we really touch on some of the things that are very personal or very general that we all might want to think of. Yeah, I like that. That's talk about a Freudian slip that we all want to think of when we're being thankful. Every hunt, I'm thanking all those dogs for what they did to help me. It's a little thing, but it works. Okay, so we're just getting warmed up here. I've got some social media stuff to share with you. I've got a lot more thoughts from you and from myself on this whole Thanksgiving idea. Whether you're having a turkey dinner with family or you're just ordering out a pizza, it doesn't matter. Being thankful is something that, well, it's become real fashionable, this gratitude thing. We've been doing it a lot longer than most people because we have so many things to be thankful for. Well, one of them is the folks who make this podcast possible, cablegangz.com, CABLEGANGZ.com. Play on words, get it? These guys have designed and engineered the ultimate tie-out systems. If you're looking for a stakeout system, that's all I can call it. Take a look at them, cablegangz.com. Everything that they use is more robust than anybody else is using for example, in the tie-out stake world. Stronger metals, thicker metals, better designs so that no matter how hard you reef on that stake with your mallet, it's not going to mushroom out, and it's always going to go around and around in a circle when your dog's attached to it. They've got a lot more tie-out systems, one of the most important aspects of their business. And then finally, if you like to road your dogs from a side-by-side or any other off-road vehicle, they've got some incredible systems set up for you that you can order that'll basically bolt right onto your rig and help you safely road your dogs. cablegangz.com. Still reflecting on the wonderful time I had at Heartland Lodge near Nebo, Illinois. Beautiful country right along the Mississippi River. Yeah, it's kind of Mark Twain country now that I think about it. And that in itself is worth a visit. But Heartland Lodge is an Orvis-endorsed bucket list destination. If you want to learn more about them, go to heartlandlodge.com. New owners, Tim Duos, is really doing a good job of bringing that place to the next level. His goal is to be the endorsed lodge of the year for Orvis in the next 2 years. So he's working hard at it. The staff is incredible. The habitat, even better. They've added more acreage. And believe me, it's the good stuff. I made a few episodes of Wing Shooting USA there a while back and enjoyed the heck out of it on my last visit too, just for fun. Check it out. See if you're ready for the ultimate hunting experience at heartlandlodge.com. I'm Scott Linden, back with you on this insider edition of the Upland Nation podcast. Well, we're giving thanks. And even if you don't do the things I do to give thanks, you're probably doing it in one way or another. Take a moment, because I need a real big gulp of coffee. Think about what you are thankful for. I'll wait. Good. Yeah, we don't do that enough, do we? Well, that's my goal today. If I do nothing else, I get you to reflect on the things that are important to you and how lucky we are. Well, for all the things I'm going to talk about, family and friends, of course, hunting, the cheapest form of therapy we can ever buy. You come back happy. Hopefully everybody's healthy, including the dogs, and you've been outside getting some sun, getting some negative ions from moving air. All the things that help us feel better are right there for the asking. We recently described it as sometimes, and I just had one of those yesterday, a nature walk with a gun, an armed nature walk. Thank you for that. Whatever you're doing, you're going to feel better after than you did before. All right. So I'm going to share some responses, first off, from the social media. I mentioned the upcoming holidays and how have you noticed so many television advertisers in particular are ignoring Thanksgiving in lieu of Christmas already? You know, in my book, Christmas season starts the day after all the leftovers are finished from Thanksgiving. But we saw ads, you did too, before Halloween. Too much red in the TV commercials before Halloween. But that's why I took it upon myself to remind everyone there is a holiday between Halloween and Christmas. Let's take a moment and reflect on it. We give thanks for so many things. Oh, I'm including broken bones that heal fast enough to go hunting a week later. So I asked you to celebrate that. And here are some of the things that came up in the comments. Joe Rundell is thankful to all the mentors that got us involved in the outdoors. For me, it was my dad, he says. Got me involved at age 5 or 6. You're a lucky guy, Joe. He must have had to have a lot of patience. Yeah, extra helpings of patience for your dad, absolutely. And you're probably a good kid. Imagine if you weren't. Austin Kelly shares a great picture. First off, let's get a good look at that. That is, it looks like a youngster, yeah, and 2 short hairs in the field with Austin. Great shot. Being able to share the outdoors with my wife and family, especially getting to pass this tradition down to our little one on the way. I get it now. That's your wife. She's holding up a blaze orange onesie for the soon-to-come fellow hunter. Good on you, and good luck. Congratulations. All right. Gordon Green, speaking of that, you're a hero. So is your dog, Seamus. Beautiful Gordon setter resting in this picture on the grass, probably taking a break, you said, after a hunt or during a hunt. And then change vests and head for the nursing home. Yeah, service dog, believe me, I was just thinking about this. I have a friend in the hospital right now, and I was remembering when I was in the hospital and somebody showed up with a dog. It will change not your day, but your entire hospital stay. Hey, if you're so inclined and you want to do that, it's not as hard as you think, and you will be making so many people's lives happier by taking your dog to a senior center, sometimes a school, definitely a hospital. Consider that. Maybe when your dog is a little bit more senior and unable to hunt as much. Lynn Glock, thanks for your correspondence. You sent me an email, and I'm going to share it with you because maybe we get lucky like you once in a while, and your wife says this to you, for which you are ever thankful. Just take those dogs out hunting and wear them out. I wish I heard that line a little bit more. Michael Beveridge says, thankful for my son and his young family. 5th generation hunting with them. Very excited. Oh, yeah. And my son and I are both veterans. Way to go, guys. We remembered you on Veterans Day, and we are grateful every day for your service. Now, as we go, some of these things, whether it's a thought from me or a thought from anybody who's shared with us, feel free to write it down or just remember it. Think about it the next time you go. Doug Fowler, well, what a perfect name for a guy who likes to hunt ducks and geese. And That's Doug, by the way. This is a thought from a few years back. But happy Thanksgiving and season's greetings to you, Doug. Doug mentions that he was grateful, thankful to all the good folks in the Upland ward who helped this waterfowler learn a bit about the pointing dog world. Yeah, all of its wonderful birds and landscapes. Yeah, absolutely true. And welcome to the club, Doug. We're not going to hold that last name against you, I promise. Yeah, we're one big happy family. In fact, I was reminded of this again recently. I used to work in politics, and one thing that will forever be lodged in my mind is the first time we had to get a big group of hunters and anglers together to fight off a ballot initiative by PETA. Um, we are one tribe with one goal, and that is to maintain and improve habitat conservation and the survival of our sports. I use sports because most people do, but you know what I mean. It's a passion. We got to work together. We have more commonalities than we have differences. And I'm thankful that so many people over the years in other political battles and also just more what I guess I'll call philosophical debates, we've decided that's important. Okay, I won't bore you with a whole lot more of mine, but I hope to share a few more of yours. Let's see here. Take an inventory. Here you go. Practice this. Look around the room. Maybe you're at home. Maybe you're listening while you're driving down the road. Don't look too carefully at anything else except the road. But think about who's in the rig with you, who you're going to see when you get wherever you're going. They've got experiences, unique personalities, and a dog that's not yours. All of those things are opportunities, thanks to the fact that we own a shotgun. Really, that's what it gets down to. One, I am going to relate this one because it's a perfect microcosm of what we do and why we do it. This is early on in my bird hunting career, and I finally saw a chucker, and it was at that moment on level ground. So I'm going to go after it, and it's kind of just waddling along, kind of upstream towards the draw. So I can't get closer to it. If you've ever hunted chuckers, you know they're always that much farther away from you than you think you need to be to take a shot. So I got an old dog, and we're kind of trying to sneak along. And this bird starts working up this draw. And I told you it was upstream. There's a little trickle of water. We get around one point in this draw, and it's a big V shape with a very little flat bottom to the whole thing. That creek, all of a sudden we get to a spot where the geology was just right, and it's falling from one hexagonal pool to the next. If you know what columnar basalt is, those are those six-sided columns of volcanic basalt. Well, when they tip over, sometimes they leave a little hole in the ground. And this was a series of 8 or 10 of these little hexagons, maybe 3 feet across at the most. Little pools reflecting the sky and the clouds going over, all hexagons. You couldn't design this. There's not a landscape architect that could envision this like we saw. It was one of my first chucker hunts, and maybe it's the reason I go. Maybe I'll find another place like that. Grateful for that. Have you got one of those? I bet you do. All right. Here's another thought from a year or two ago from Chris Wright. Thankful for Stoker the dog. My wife and daughter had to convince me to go meet him. I wanted a lab. My daughter had a friend with some border collie mix pups. I agreed to go look at them, fell in love with a fuzzball at 8 weeks, wouldn't trade him for anything in the world. There he is. He's a bird dog. No judgment. Thankful for that dog. Look, it brought Chris into the fold, and now he's out there doing wonderful things. buying a license, helping the habitat. Maybe you're even a Pheasants Forever member, Chris. I hope so. All right, good job. And it happens more and more often these days. I've hunted with a German Shepherd. We brought our Corgi along on one hunt. Not a bad fleshing dog. Next time I head for South Dakota and those cattail breaks, I might have to put the Corgi in there. All right. Doesn't matter what kind of dog it is. They're all wonderful, aren't they? Okay, Ken Corbett, thank you. Always love hearing from you. Ken is the proprietor of Ravenwood Lodge near Topeka, Kansas. And so many of you came out for that last big Fur Feathers Friends event out there. You know, we had people from 28 states for that. Someday I'll get the nerve and the energy to do that again. But in the meanwhile, you've been doing your bit on a one-on-one basis, and that's the emphasis of Fur Feathers Friends these days. Thank you for doing that. And thank you, Ken, for hosting us the last time we were all out there. Had 100 hunters, 50 guides, and 50 guests who were retired or active duty military. Okay, well, there's a lot more to share. I won't bore you with it. This is a busy time of year. The Upland Nation podcast is brought to you by Cable Gang's Stakeout Systems, Heartland Lodge, Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, TrueLock Choke Tubes, Purina Pro Plan Sport Dog Food, Sage and Breaker Gun Care Products, Pointer Shotguns, and High Vis Sights. Hey, if you like what you hear or see, please rate and review us, particularly on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend. That's how we grow around here, one listener or viewer at a time. I hope your holiday season goes well. We're starting it off with the right one, and that is the one that makes us think about how grateful we are for what happens to us and what we do to help others. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Enjoy the season. It only rolls around once a year. Just remember what they're really all about, those holidays. I'm Scott Linden. Thanks for watching or listening to this Insider edition of the Upland Nation podcast.